Yesterday afternoon, I got back from just a beautiful bike ride here in the city of Boston, and I was not planning on doing a live stream until our chess tournament later at night. But it was announced that Donald Trump called an urgent press conference set to start at 5 p.m. Eastern yesterday. And this was pretty unusual. It hadn't been on the schedule for the entire day. And it was framed as urgent and potentially bringing some kind of big announcement. I decided to do a live stream because if there's something major that's going to happen, let's see what it is and share it with the audience. And we wondered, maybe they're announcing a second stimulus package. Maybe there's some kind of big announcement related to coronavirus. What could it be? It seems like something big is going on. So I did a live stream, and clearly news of this urgent press conference spread widely because instead of having our normal 6,000 to 8,000 viewers on YouTube, we had more than 40,000 people watch the live stream concurrently across our platforms. And it ended up being more than an hour of Donald Trump wildly and belligerently attacking Joe Biden in a completely incoherent manner, followed by taking just 3 questions, not really answering any of them. And one of those 3 questions came from the outrageous propaganda right-wing news outlet OAN. And this was actually so insane and so unprecedented that even Fox News anchor Brett Baier had no choice but to mention, listen, Barack Obama did this. Barack Obama called an urgent press conference at the White House and delivered what was essentially a campaign speech attacking his opponent. Even if it was a poor campaign speech, Republicans would have lost their minds, saying it's an abuse of power. It's an abuse of the status of the White House. Here is Brett Baier actually being honest and saying it.
He spoke for 52 minutes before taking a question. Presidents in the past, by tradition, have stayed away from overt campaign rhetoric from the Rose Garden or the White House, but it is the president's discretion. It is worth noting, however, to be fair, that had President Obama made this kind of speech from the Rose Garden, Republicans on Capitol Hill would likely have been up in arms. But this comes 112 days, 16 weeks to the day before Election Day.
Even Brett Baier realizes this was hugely outrageous, and Republicans are major hypocrites. Now, of course, there are people talking about the legal question, like, is this using taxpayer money for campaigning, in the sense that this was really a campaign event where the focus was attacking Trump's opponent, but it was at the White House with the White House press corps, not campaign people covering the campaign. But as good of an argument as that might be, I just wouldn't focus much on it because it's going nowhere. The focus really should be that this is a very desperate Donald Trump that clearly nobody around him can control. And I know that Trump has a lot of very bad people around him whose instincts are terrible, but it's hard to imagine that even they would be supportive of this. It genuinely seems like on a whim, sometime around 4 p.m. Eastern yesterday, Trump said, put together a list for me of things I can say about Joe Biden, and let's call an urgent press conference. And then I'm just going to go out there and read the list. And that's how poorly it came off. Trump was asked about the fact that his polling is in the toilet. And Trump mentioned, you know, there are some Floridians with boats who seem to like me. I'm not kidding. That was Trump's answer to one of the few questions he took.
I think we have really good poll numbers. They're not suppression polls. They're real polls. You look at the intercoastal in Florida. You look at the lakes. You see thousands of boats with Trump signs, American signs. You've got the Trump Pence sign all over. You look at what's going on. You look at bikers for miles and miles riding up highways proudly with their signs.
Thousands of boat owners in Florida love Trump. That's his answer when faced with polling data and discrediting the polls by saying they are suppression polls. Trump wildly, after stumbling over an acronym, claims that Joe Biden wants to end the suburbs. Take a look.
Abolish in the suburbs. You're going to abolish the suburbs with this. Enforce Obama Biden's radical AFFH. That's the AFFH regulation that threatens to strip localities of federal affordable housing funds unless they change their zoning laws to fit the federal government's demands. So what you have, I mean, I've been watching this for years in Westchester, coming from New York. They want low-income housing built in a neighborhood. Well, I'm ending that rule. I'm taking it out. So I spoke with Ben Carson the other day. We're going to be taking it out. I've watched that whole thing go, and now they want to make it twice as bad in the suburbs. In the suburbs. Mothers aren't happy about that. Fathers aren't happy about that. They worked hard to buy a house, and now they're going to watch the housing values drop like a rock, and that has happened.
Trump just barely able to get through the reading, but says Joe Biden wants to end the suburbs, just kind of aimlessly stumbling around. Here's just like a random 60 seconds where you'll notice Donald Trump is just jumping from topic to topic with no rhyme or reason, making absolutely no sense. And I believe this is the clip where you get a shot of the press, and they're just still. They're like statues. They don't know what the hell is going on.
Many countries, and I did this myself for the most part, not to use Huawei because we think it's an unsafe security risk. It's a big security risk. I talked many countries out of using it. If they want to do business with us, they can't use it. Just today, I believe that UK announced that they're not going to be using it. And that was up in the air for a long time, but they've decided. And you look at Italy, you look at many other countries. We withdrew from the Chinese-dominated WHO, and we fully rebuilt the United States military, the WHO, World Health Organization. We were paying close to $500 million a year. China was paying $39 million a year. And China had too much say. They worked it very hard, which is a bad thing done by our past administrations. But we were tough, and we were saying, I said, why are we paying so much more than China?
Just all over the place. I mean, really, really bizarre. Just one other clip for you here. Here, Donald Trump claims, this is so crazy. He claims that Joe Biden is against Windows. I'm not talking about the Windows operating system. He's not saying Joe Biden's a Mac guy. He's saying if Joe Biden were president, buildings wouldn't have windows, heating, cooling, or lighting.
Mandate net zero carbon emissions for homes, offices, and all new buildings by 2030. That basically means no windows, no nothing. It's very hard to do. I tell people when they want to go into some of these buildings, how are your eyes? Because they won't be good in 5 years. And I hope you don't mind cold office space in the winter and warm office space in the summer, because your air conditioning is not the same as the good old days.
This is so crazy. And it reminds me of what I think at this point, I don't know if it was like 6 months ago or a year ago. Remember that rant where Donald Trump said, Democrats don't want you to have good flushing toilets. Like it's just stuff about water pressure and sinks, just really, really bizarre. So what we had here in the end is that Donald Trump manipulated reporters to get them to go to the White House, to rant to them about Joe Biden. And if I was on the fence about voting for Trump, I mean, listen, I know that if you're in the tank for Trump, you don't care. You probably didn't even watch this. In fact, there's a lot of Trumpists who, in order to avoid being confronted with his incompetence, no longer even watch Trump's public-facing events. They're just voting for Trump. They don't want to hear anything else about it. If you were already not voting for Trump, obviously this press conference, this ranting is not going to convince you to vote for Donald Trump. I'm imagining, even though I don't really get how anyone could be undecided at this point, if you were one of these undecided voters, could this possibly convince you to vote for Donald Trump? And if, again, I don't know how anyone is undecided. I'm not sure if there's any of these undecided voters in my audience. But if you are one of those people, I would love to hear your perspective on Trump calling an urgent press conference at the last second and then struggling to read criticisms of Joe Biden off of his pieces of paper. It is very, very bizarre. Before we go to a break, I do have kind of a cool announcement. As some of you know, I am a very bad amateur chess player. And over the last few months, we've engaged with our audience by occasionally running a chess tournament. We had one last night with 728 players. It was a great time. Apparently, word of my amateur chess playing has gotten around, and I have been invited by chess.com to be one of 16 participants in a chess tournament next month called PogChamps 2. PogChamps 1 was last month. Grandmaster Hikaru Nakamura reached out to me. I said I would love to do it. the chess.com team reached out to me. I said I would love to do it. So that's where we are right now. I have been assigned excellent professional chess player coaches to coach me from the standpoint of being a participant in this tournament. And I am probably going to be doing most of the coaching sessions over on Twitch. And the first one is tonight at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. So this is not going to be like the normal, oh, my Sharpie is collapsing. This is not going to be the normal sort of stream. This is going to be Twitch only tonight at 8:30. And it will be the start of my journey in preparing for this tournament that will be taking place in August. So join me tonight on Twitch at twitch.tv/David Pakman. I will be introducing you to my first of two, actually really three different chess coaches that I'm going to have. I'm that bad that I need multiple coaches, sadly. But it'll be a good time. It'll be a nice break from all the politics tonight. So we'll take a quick break. I will see you in just a couple of minutes, but then hopefully tonight as my chess PogChamps adventure begins. One of our sponsors today is Hydrant, and they are giving my audience 25% off your first order. This has been a game changer for me. This is a refreshing electrolyte powder that you mix directly into your water to rehydrate your body because it is packed with the 4 essential electrolytes that your body needs the most. That's sodium, potassium, magnesium, and zinc. And because of how Hydrant is formulated, it's an efficient way of getting yourself rehydrated, and it tastes awesome. There's a variety of flavors. I have blood orange, which I love. You can also get grapefruit and lime. A lot of us don't even realize when we're dehydrated a lot of the time, and it's become a really great part of my daily routine. If I'm underhydrated, I'm affected physically, I'm affected mentally, and I think you never fully understand this until you use Hydrant for the first time. I get a great boost of energy when I'm properly hydrated if I've been dehydrated. They also have a version with caffeine, which I love if and when that's what I'm looking for. Everyone in my audience gets 25% off your first order when you go to drinkhydrant.com/Pakman or just enter the code Pakman at checkout. I've put the link right underneath this video.